is about. I'm a black man trying not to get caught. I'm just trying to solve the puzzle like a jigsaw. You know it's a big world, so easy to get lost. I'm just trying to solve the puzzle like a jigsaw.
What's going on, Blacks and everybody in between? I'm your boy, Josh Rogers.
I am Bryan here.
And this is a special episode of the Jigsaw podcast. You've started being like, why is there another episode today? Why is there another episode today? Because the Love is Blind reunion came on last night.
It did.
And me and Bryan watched it and we got to talk about it. So there won't be no song of the week. It won't be no, you know what I'm saying, all that different kind of stuff. We're just going to talk to y'all real quick. But there's one thing I kind of want to play that I think resonates with you know, the people who was on the Love is Blind.
Okay.
And I feel like, you know.
It's not the domestic violence number, is it?
Oh, no. No. I got something for you.
Okay.
I ain't playing no domestic. We don't advocate for no domestic violence. Are you crazy?
I'm talking about Eve, the Eve song. Love is Blind.
Because some of them was very lonely. if you think it was lonely before Love is Blind, wait until tonight. Wait until after this reunion, because you're gonna be lonely forever. So let's jump straight into it. Overall thoughts, Bryan, about Love is Blind season 7. Before we jump into individual couples and all that kind of stuff.
Well, let's talk about Nick and his wife. They are not good hosts.
Well, can we pause that? Because they are my supervillains of the entire show.
Okay. When you want to start with there, like I don't like them.
I mean, we could.
My overall thoughts on the show is I feel like shows like this that have so much salacious and drama and the things, I feel like them as hosts, they don't bring out the best. They don't ask the good questions. It's a little bit. It's too much. We come here for the mess. Reunions are for the mess. So I feel like we need somebody else to pull out the show us the text messages. If you Steven, right? Show us the messages of the kinky stuff. Like what was the kinky stuff? Like we need somebody like Andy Cohen that will probably pull out the salacious, the nasty, the dirty stuff for our viewing entertainment. It was a lackluster reunion if I would give an overall overview, but
it was lackluster. But at the same time, I think my issue, like you said, with Nick and Vanessa is not necessarily like I think what we saw about the text message stuff is production. Mm-hmm. It is the lack of, like you said, elevating the conversations. Mm-hmm. It is the including your own like personal biases. Yes. It is like when Tim and Alex were going there, it was like, I feel like y'all need to have a conversation. No, this is a 90-minute episode. Right. Facilitate the conversation. Why do we have AD on the show?
Right.
Why is Marshall back on the show? Like, why do we have these old people on the show when we could be dedicating time to really thinking through these other characters, their impact, their influence, blah, 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 blah. Like, they don't, and I think they're executive producers, so they want, and their love story is blind, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. But it's like, no, y'all are bad. You're bad.
Real bad. Because there were moments, I'm not jumping ahead, but there were moments, like when Alex and Tim were going at it, we needed to, like, don't say, oh, we need to have a conversation off camera. Like, no, like you said, just do it here. And to your point, like, they could have asked certain questions and said, well, why do you feel like that? You know, it was just bad. It's just, and you're a journalist. You are a person who interviews people regularly. And, so you get it. Like you I've heard your interview. You pull the things out of the people to get to the place where we want to go. Because the thing about a good host, they pull the information that they know the people want to hear.
But that causes you to actively listen to. You know what I'm saying? And have a list of prepared questions and things, but actively listen. Not just your little cute transitional moments or things like that. No, you got to literally listen. So my thing would have been like, wait a minute, Tim. Let's address the fact that she's saying that you had your hand and your finger in her face. She's saying you yelled at her. I didn't yell. Well, we do know that our security did have to come and figure out what was going on, which means that you may have thought you were yelling, but you were loud enough to where everyone else around you thought you were yelling. Can you at least admit the fact that was disrespectful as well. So we're not condoning her calling you out your name, but what we are saying is that let's talk about the things that led up to that. On the top of the fact, what he never also addressed, what the host didn't bring out, she said why she fell asleep. He just kept saying, you fell asleep with my parents. He never acknowledged the why. He just kept going to the action. Bro, I was on a trip yesterday. I did a one-day trip. I told y'all about it in the episode. Y'all listened to the episode already. Yeah. I told y'all about that trip. It was a one-day turnaround trip. I woke up at 4 a.m. to get there. I didn't get to my home till almost midnight, bro.
Yeah.
Midnight. So if I wanted to take a nap, let's just say Ashley had an aunt in town. I'm going to take a nap.
Yeah.
And when I wake up, and here's the thing about Ashley. No, not Ashley. Alex. In this particular situation, she admitted to hanging out with them for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
Before she took the nap. What more do you want?
Yeah. So
if you know that your fiance is tired, like, you know what I'm saying?
And she called him to be and he was acting like a...
She called him that because allegedly of how he was acting off camera. And she even said it. I did so much to protect you and guard conversations that the camera never saw. She's like, that's why you look like the perfect one. But here's the gag. We saw through it anyway. Not a lot of us on the socials were really on Tim's side. No. I'm not saying Ashley was perfect. Because when she was eating that food in his face while he was breaking over her, hilarious. Hilarious.
After he broke over, she got on her phone, which was like,
because I really feel like she was over it too. Because what we didn't see was she revealed that he said he had doubts the whole time. So I get what she was saying. You know how she feel about her father. Why go? He kept saying, when I did lots for your family, but again, you never addressed that point. If you felt that you had doubts, why are you reading this heartfelt letter? This man just got out of physical rehab. Clearly, you did a lot to still be doubtful.
Right. And yeah.
So anyway, let's start with them since we brought them up. Let's just start with them. Crystal and Tim. Now, is it Crystal? Alex and Tim. I'm an unk. I be messing up these names. Alex and Tim.
First, let me say, Alex, I'm married, but you are beautiful. So shout out to you. You are a beautiful black woman.
I'll say this. Love is Blind does a good job of casting holistically. There's some outliers. Holistically, some beautiful people. So shout out to them.
Alex is definitely beautiful. We kind of already talked a lot about it. So in this situation, I feel like the breakup was unwarranted. Right?
The why maybe, but they needed to break up clearly.
They needed to break up, but I feel like Nick and them could. I feel like they probably needed to break up, but I think that Nick and them should ask the question: well, if knowing what you know now, right, would you have still broken up? You know what I'm saying? Like, because having doubts is having doubts. I get it. But knowing what
especially
you know now,
when you've only known each other 2 weeks in the pods. What was it? Maybe 2 weeks in Mexico, and then the 2 to 3 weeks before you're married. Like, you've literally known each other maybe 6 weeks total, give or take.
Yeah,
I would have doubts too.
Yeah,
so that's normal. But what I'm not about to do, like I said before, is go to your daddy and read him this letter and cry in his face and do all this. Like,
and now you have to. And I would be so pissed if a nigga came up to me asking about my daughter's hand in marriage, and then like a day later, like he calls it off. Like, why did you waste my time like that?
Yeah. Waste of time. Yeah. The other thing that I think is critical to point out about this particular couple too is that I don't believe that Tim. I believe he wanted everybody to grieve in the same way that he grieved. And
how do you say that?
So so in the past he kept talking about his 2 sisters and them dying or however they passed away, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But and I can empathize with that. But he consistently said, "I want to give my parents another daughter." I felt like he was so. I feel like he's still grieving in the sense that he's looking to fill some type of void that is actually blocking, because that's the only reason why I can think why he's so adamant about her being so close or so attentive to his parents, because he wants them to have this other daughter. You can't, unfortunately, your sisters aren't coming back. And that's a sad thing, right? But it is not your wife's job to be the next daughter per se for your parents. The only thing I've been married 12 years. Bryan, you've been married, 15, 16?
It'll be 15 in April.
It'll be, so you coming up on 15 years, right?
Yeah.
So in the midst of those times, we can only hope and pray at a base level we get along with our in-laws.
Oh, yeah.
And then from there, we develop relationship. So
Yeah.
like my wife and my mom have a good relationship, but it's not the same relationship that Rashonda and Jessica, her natural daughters, have with her. I
Right.
have a good relationship with Karen, but it's
Yeah.
not the same that her natural two sons have with her, right? And it
Right.
doesn't mean
Right.
that I'm not close. If Karen called
Yeah.
me right now, she's called me before to hang up a picture, help her hang up a TV. I've been
Yeah.
IT for Ashley Mama the same way I've been IT for my own mama. I'm gonna show up for my mother-in-law in the same ways I show up for my own parents, but
Yeah.
we can't force these TV-esque relationships, and they do happen,
Yeah.
right? But I think he was really looking for her to be this next daughter.
Mhm.
And I think he wanted her to really feel that role. And I don't know that she was disinterested, but I
Yeah.
don't think that responsibility should have been on her. I think that was number one. And when she wasn't stepping up in those ways,
Mhm.
I think that's what it was. Well, he kept saying things in the reunion like, that what they need to work on. They need to work on. But she called out some points that he wouldn't admit. You talk too much.
Yeah.
It's your way or how he even admitted when I don't want to argue, I'ma leave.
Yeah.
But when she wanted space to herself, he was like, "Why won't you talk? Why we work on this?" Like
Yeah.
he's not ready for marriage
No.
at all.
No.
He's not ready for a relationship.
No. He's still grieving. He's set in his ways. He wants a person to. He wanted her to be A when she was like, I'm B though. Like he just wanted a placeholder instead of an actual person.
Yeah.
Essentially, so I feel like it wasn't gonna work. Yeah.
The other part I will say too about grieving, and because I don't want to minimize this, I don't think the grieving process, especially super close family members, siblings, parents, grandparents, even an uncle or auntie, I don't think that ever ends. I think grieving is evolutionary, right? It's you're gonna evolve to a place. You may be healed eventually, but some things will still trigger you. Blah blah blah. I don't think when I'm saying he's still grieving, I don't think he's in his grieving process further along in it. To where he's able to clearly his sisters were super important to him and his family dynamic. So even to come out your mouth, I don't even want to speak this, but God forbid something happened to my two sisters. I'm not finna look for Asher to replace them in any kind of way. In my family dynamic.
No, yeah,
right?
Asher's Asher. She's
Asher, and she has her role as daughter-in-law and whatever that means. And if my parents, and if she decides to be more close, whatever, by virtue of something happening, that's a decision. That wouldn't be my expectation of her. Right? Because my parents still have me, and my parents are still going to grieve and love and miss their daughters. So there's really nobody that can take their place ever. Right? So for that's why I say he's still grieving. For that to even come out your mouth, it's a very kind of interesting statement. Because it's one thing if a parent never had a daughter ever and be like, you're the daughter I never had, versus to lose children and be like, oh, you my replacement daughter. What?
Yeah, that's wild.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm like. I don't think he's further along in his grieving process as a brother and dealing with what that means in their family dynamic to understand what a future wife / daughter-in-law will be. It is not her responsibility to be a placeholder or replacement for your sisters. And brother, if this happens to get to you, I sympathize and empathize with you. I have two sisters who I love dearly, and I will be broken if anything happened to either one of them. But it will never be my wife's responsibility to replace them in our family dynamic. That's just not what their role is or should ever be. And that's, so anything else about Alex and Tim?
No, I feel like, they end the way they should have ended.
Okay. All right. Next on the list is Monica and Steven.
Oh, okay. Kinky Stevie.
Kinky Sleepy Kinky. Man, a guy went to sleep and then sent some text. Or sent some text and then went to sleep. Like,
to me, I think they're the most, other than him like sending text messages, I think they were the boringest couple.
They were super boring, because it was just like whatever.
The show, they didn't have any
the other than him being broke. Because man, a guy was broke.
But also he had the he had the red flags of a person who, like to say to her, I think he was like, man, when the show comes out, I'm gonna get so many text messages and I'm gonna be out here, I gotta be, be on my P's and Q's because this girl's gonna try to come after me. I was like who
he was a classic case of not being ready for a relationship or marriage either. Just classic case of that. Because again, you're going to get a certain level of notoriety by being on this show. And yes, everything he said is true. But if that's your first thought, Then, brother, you ain't ready.
You ain't ready for
You
this.
ain't ready.
Because normal people,
You ain't ready for this,
normal people get attention. This is a whole level of
bruh.
attention.
And like exactly, if you put on a good, like, I ain't even trying to hype myself up. I had on a dope fit for homecoming. Okay, I had on a dope fit, and throughout the whole day, I got love like for that fit.
Yeah.
Right? I got a few fire emojis for that fit when I posted my story. I got like, so many odd likes on the picture. All I'm saying is, as a normal dude who ain't on nobody's television show, for one little outfit, got attention. Now, I didn't get any inappropriate attention, but I did get attention. Now, could I have turned it inappropriate if I wanted to? Absolutely. But that's not even my interest. So, like you said, a normal person, if they wear something nice or flex on the ground because they just left the gym, can get a certain level of attention. Add that with reality TV celebrity status.
Yeah.
He wasn't ready because that was the first thing on his mind. He wasn't ready.
Yeah, the amount of he thinks that I'm getting a lot of oral. He said something crazy like that.
Some wild stuff.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. Was Monica even ready for the type of stuff he was into? Let's just say he didn't send no text messages. Would that been compatible?
But I feel like she gave the vibes of like, I want to. They had conversations like she was like, oh, do you want to have sex with me? Like she was kind of into the I'm trying to give my all and I want to have the sex and things like that. But I don't know. We don't know what the messages said, so we don't know. She might have been down for the things, you know what I'm saying? So who knows? Like, another question that the host could have asked, like, well, what was it? And did you express some of those kinks or whatever that you had with Monica, and was she willing to, like, that could have been a thing, you know what I'm saying? That could have been a question. Because I think even Monica was like, we had a conversation. He kind of was open about cheating and stuff like that before.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, maybe like that could have been a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Anything else about Monica and Steven other than here's my other thing about Steven. That 2% black or whatever it was.
It was a fifth. He was 1/5 black.
The way he dressed on that reunion showed that he be trying his best to tap into his little black card, and we weren't trying to. I wasn't trying to see none of that.
Yeah, no.
I wasn't trying to see none of that. None of that. And isn't Steven the guy who called her like a mutt or something?
She sure did.
A white man calling her a mutt.
Mm-hmm. He don't belong to us. He don't belong to us.
So anyway, all right. We're gonna save them for almost last. Let's do Brittany and Leo real fast.
Brittany and Leo. Leo was annoying in the pods.
Super annoying. The dude who got money and just I want to tell people he got money, but also want to be like highly philosophical.
Yeah, we know people like that who lead with money. Like, they're not cool. They probably wouldn't get no vagina without the money. I
ain't having no sex.
Listen, but we know some people who they lead with money because they're just not attractive. They have no personality, and they feel like,
I know, and they're terrible. This particular person I'm thinking about is a terrible person, also though.
Terrible human being, and has an underbite. I think we talking about.
Nope. Brittany and Leo. Too many details.
Beautiful gown. Brittany,
beautiful gown.
I see why they didn't make it to the trip.
She was tripping before they did the reveal. I knew that wasn't gonna last.
Yeah.
And when she saw that man,
she was like, no.
She was like, "No, this ain't him."
They're in a different league. They're in a different league as far as it looks and stuff like that. So I feel like, some people, they say yes to engagements just because they feel like, it'll get me further along in the show. But they didn't have any. So I don't really have anything to say about them.
Okay.
What about you?
That's it. I also move on to the next couple.
Okay.
Marissa and Ramses and his two locks.
Ooh, Jesus. Looking like
when I saw them two locks, I knew then this is going to be a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I knew a moment. I knew then.
People like him, the Hoteps of the world, the pseudo super progressive, the I am open-minded about everything, but I'm still closed-minded about everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm open-minded about the world, but really closed-minded to like outside beliefs. Like even with the whole military thing, I get your principle, but like it was the judgment of it all. It was like,
And
no.
it's not that deep. And I'm gonna tell you
It's-
why. Because I don't care how you feel, the United States, every country is going to have some type of military force.
everyone.
And if we were ever, God forbid, in some type of actual war, my brother, you're going to be hoping and praying we had a military.
Yeah.
Right. Now, some of the ways in which our military acts, I agree with you.
Yeah,
It is
colonialism, I get it.
colonialism and all the things.
Yeah.
But and even our defense and like coming to bat for other folks and stuff like that. We ain't got no business jumping into stuff like.
Yeah, I get it.
I get it. I get everything he's saying, but at the same time, we need a military. And for some people, the military is one of like my uncle went to the military because that's what saved his life.
Yeah,
In a sense, like he went to school, and when school didn't work out his football scholarship and stuff like that, he ended up going to the Navy or the Air Force. What did Riverdale do? One of them. He ended up going. My point is, like the military became his pathway for success. And I know other men and women who they was like, I'm gonna get a free college education. I'm gonna be able to get a VA loan. I'm gonna get some long-term benefits. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Ashes has a cousin who's married to a military man, and he does his travel stuff, but he's been able to get both of his degrees for free. Now he has had to do some trips and stuff there. I don't think he's been in like war or nothing. He's done some trips, but like the benefits from being in the military, we've seen that how it impacted their family positively. And he went to this particular individual went to HBCU, a prominent HBCU, right? What I'm saying is that whatever choice he made for the military, he saw the positive benefits of that because he also was able to go to school. He's in a D9. Like for the most part, he lives a very normal, Black excellence life, but he chose the military for its benefits. So that's why I'm not totally in agreement with Ramses. I'm not judging it, but it's almost like you so hard on the. I think we talked about this before. People go so hard on one side that you actually create your own version of what you don't like.
Yeah. You're one like, and it was to me like self. To me, it was she said
it's self-righteousness too.
It's self-righteousness. She was like, I wanted to serve my country. Like, I love you. You even trying to find the love in that is like, oh, she wanted to serve her country. She cares she cares about something. She's willing to put her life on the line for her country. So what is she willing to do for me? You know what I'm saying? Like not even trying to find the you know what I'm saying? Like,
and I don't necessarily resonate with that because I don't love America that much to be like, I'm finna go to war for you.
Right.
But what I can see is the reclamation, like kind of what we saw with Beyonce do with the American flag and Cowboy Carter. Like, I'm just as much American as the rest of y'all. You know what I'm saying? So if that's where she's coming from, like, have that conversation. Is she out here talking about I'm with Trump and I'm this and that and that? Like, if she's not doing none of that, brother, let her be pro-American.
Right. Like to me, I felt like that was an issue, but he tried to clean it up at the reunion about the whole contraceptive thing.
No, you did. Here's my gag. People like him, though, who is, I'm super feminist. I'm a womanist. I'm this, I'm that. And as soon as she said, I'm tired because I drive all the way from Baltimore to go to school and have to drive back. I'm in my car for 2 hours, however long she said she was. I'm not going to want to have sex. He was like, he basically said, well, you better get yourself together because when I want it, I want it. And it's just like, so all of your feminist stuff went out the door, and that's the thing about Ramses and what he represents. It's like your soul, whatever, and then you were talking about how you need this, you need that, you need that, just to get to the end and be like, I don't know if we are going to work out. What? None of y'all know that. Like y'all been together for 6 weeks. Let's keep it a buck.
Yeah,
you're not going to have the same level of assurance that you would have in even 6 months. 6 years, right? But you go into these experiments. No, that's what bothers me about some of these people, which is why I'm gonna ask the bigger question to you, Bryan. Is love is blind at the end? But that's how I know I could never be on a show like this because I know you joked about it. Said, "Shoot, I can fall in love quick." Not me. I'm skeptical of all humans and all things.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be one of the people that be on the show and would not make it past the pods because you know what I'm saying. It's just who I am, right? And but I also wouldn't set myself up because I know that it's even about not seeing you. I'm trying not to give my answer, but that amount of time, it's not enough for me to make that level of determination because talking to you through a wall ain't nothing like spending time with you and doing all and it's not, again, I'm taking the looks about it.
Yeah.
Because in the real world, yeah, I'm attracted to you, but it is the me because you could be fine as all get out.
Yeah.
But if I find out you're a terrible person after spending time with you,
Yeah.
or there's like certain things that are non-negotiables for me, whatever they could or could not be, we're not going to make it. And the pods don't give you enough time and space for that.
Yeah, but I also feel like there's certain situations where like do you have to break up though? You know what I'm saying? Like
In some regards, you don't have to. I feel like because I think we've seen a couple who did get married but ended up staying together for they tried for a while. Yeah.
And I feel like that to just completely break it off and to be like, well, I'm gonna be exhausted. Like it was. What is Beyonce? The best thing I never had. Like
Marissa deserved better, but she
yeah,
got on my nerves at that reunion.
She did.
In defense of Hannah.
She all been in Hannah and what's called.
And she was projecting so because every time she made a point, she went back to Ramses. I'm like, girl, heal.
Yeah.
Heal.
She's hurt.
Because if Ashley and Tyler been married for a year, then it's been a year since y'all seen each other. Heal.
Yeah.
Heal.
Yeah. And then of course she had to rewatch the stuff and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
She was broken.
She was and you could tell that anger came back.
She was and even the issues, and I don't know. Did we ever know what happened to her dad? Like what the situation was with that? Like, did we know that? Okay.
Not for real.
I'm pretty sure there's some traumas, some things that probably were involved in that. And even the commentary that she had was like, "Why won't somebody choose me? Or why can't somebody choose me?" And her mom had some issues. You know what I'm saying?
Her mama told him like, "I don't believe this stuff is forever." She was on some stuff from the beginning, right? Talking about I'm gonna cut your balls off, all kind of crazy stuff. She was saying
like the mom was projecting stuff on her, and I feel like she also was trying to prove her mom wrong. You know, it was just so. It was
a lot
involved in that.
I actually don't blame Ramses for having his doubts because if I met a mama like that off ripped, I'd be like, "Wait a minute, what am I getting myself into?"
Listen,
but it was how he handled the other stuff.
Yeah,
in my opinion, that made with him like, And you tried to couch it around you being so open and so liberal and so free, but in fact, you're not as open and liberal as free. You want it the way you want it, and if it's not like that, then you're like, oh, then. Like you think you're so free that it's almost like the character in All American Homecoming. You're so free, you're so liberal that anything that comes against what you say is just automatically, it's not even up for consideration
at all.
Right. And that's what Ramses gives.
Yeah.
He's
definitely full of it.
So
he's full of it.
Anything else from them too?
No. And I think the character is Nate from All American Homecoming. I think
Nate is their character. Yeah,
but he's full of it. Shout out to Marissa. I like Marissa. I enjoyed the character. I did not like her on the reunion.
Like on the reunion either.
I didn't like her on the reunion, but I liked her as a person on the actual show.
Okay. Taylor and Garrett. I want to save Ashley and Tyler, and then Hannah and Nick for last. They had the most drama.
Okay. Taylor and Garrett.
Taylor is racist, and so is his parents.
Yes.
I'm gonna just throw it out there, but go ahead.
I agree. And well, you know, the Asians, they love a white man. And they love the things. I love that they found some space. Family was important to both of them. A little more important to him. I feel like she compromised for him. But to me, they were boring. I don't really care nothing about them. Like I don't really want to talk about these people because they were just.
They were because when you brought that girl home and your mama bust out crying. Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Like you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like.
Yeah.
Like. It's. I don't even know what to say. Like the. Beautiful gowns. We'll say that. I'm glad they're together. Love was blind.
Love is blind.
Racism is not.
And they can take.
Racism is not.
It's not blind at all.
It is. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up pretty quickly. Do you want a white mess or a black mess?
You know I love white mess, so let's go to the black mess first.
Okay, first, Ashley, beautiful. Mm-hmm. Stole my heart. Mm-hmm. Beautiful black woman, was open to finding love, was affirming to Tyler. She was one to jump out of the planes. She took the experiment by storm, by the horns. When situations arose, she was open-minded regarding it, but also was holding him accountable. Was like, nigga, like, tell me the truth. So all the things. I think she was amazing. If I had to pick the girl that I was like top of the list, I thought, top of the list.
Yeah. So I will say they were the couple I was rooting for the hardest in the pods.
Yeah.
I felt like in the beginning, I ain't gonna hold you. Call them, say my disarmament off, whatever you want to say. Something about Tyler didn't like excite me, but I wasn't expecting all of what ended up happening.
He seemed boring though. He seemed like
like I said, but there was nothing exciting me about him. But I didn't get like Tim. Low key was giving me some flags in the pods.
Yeah,
Tyler didn't really give that to me per se.
Right.
Ashley, like I said, I've always thought she's a pretty girl, very intelligent.
Yeah,
definitely understood what she wanted from the experiment and experience. Went in there intentional, taking the notes. Was I think showed her true self. So I was super excited about them. Black love. I've always loved when the black couples end up finding each other.
Without a doubt.
I ain't gonna hold you. That excites me.
Yeah, that
excites. Because if I'm in there, I would ask questions like this. Growing up, did you watch Friends or Living Single? I just need to know a few things.
And so they were. I'm trying to think. The only true, Tim and Alex were a black couple. But they were only like. There's only two total black couples.
Oh yeah, like a black couple. There were black people who got engaged, but two black couples. I think everything was okay with them until the baby thing.
Yeah,
and then when it was revealed on the show, is when social media started going crazy.
Yeah,
and it started being all these details about how he became a surrogate and he was actually in their lives versus. Then the second surrogacy was actually not through surrogacy, but actually through actual, was actually through conceiving. So it was just like a lot going on. They got a reunion, at least Tyler did anyway, and tried to explain. I don't owe none of y'all no explanation. He said, I got too close to a situation, which is true. You did get too close to a situation. Yeah. He said, I've done Christmas with all of my friends and their babies. No, let's say I was single. Me doing Christmas with y'all in Brooklyn is far different than me doing Christmas if I have donated sperm to a couple to have a baby. That would just be because I'm technically their father. Yeah. Biologically. Yeah. It's so different. And if I wanted to be in their lives, because again, that's my best friend, I would maintain an uncle distance. I wouldn't be in the matching pajamas with y'all. There's no world that would exist that I would like have sex with that friend to produce other children or even make it that far unless we decided, hey, let's try a relationship, right? Yeah. But if that isn't our decision, and because we did this first child as a surrogate situation, I don't even think my mind would even allow me to get to the place of wanting to be in relationship with you, right? It's just... I think he made many missteps. I can't judge what Ashley decided to do in terms of staying with him because she has to live. She's his wife, so she has to live with that decision. And again, they've been married for over a year, so everything that's come out on social media, like it's only a response to what they knew a long time ago. And if he's as honest as he said he had been with telling her the remainder of the story, then we could not like it. But what are we gonna do with it? Because that's really the only thing with them two. Yeah. Outside of the fact that he did lie about his job.
Nuclear security, like
to be in a security officers at a nuclear office. Those are two different things. Word means things, Tyler.
Yeah,
words mean things.
To me, I'm thinking, nuclear security specialist, something like that. It's like, like
cybersecurity is where my brain goes.
Right. You got high clearance in the government. Like you at the front desk, brother.
He's checking clearances.
We're not job shaming.
We're not, but there are two different things. Those are two different things. This is like me saying, I got a bunch of retail experience, but you just been a cashier for 10 years. Not job, but like if but that's very different than being like a regional manager at Macy's, right? It's two different things. And again, not job shaming, but you got to just be honest about what it is that you do.
I'm a childcare supervisor. You're a babysitter. Like you're putting the thing, you're making things sound, and you're making things sound like a little more important than it really is.
And they're not. And it's okay. Like I think we have to be okay with where we are in life and things like that. And again, Ashley still chose him.
She did.
Ashley's still married to this man.
That's her man.
So it's like, and she's sticking beside him. So as much as we think that is a mess and it's terrible, it's like the reason why I'm not giving any conversation, not because I'm giving them a pass. It's like, what am I gonna do about it when they've decided to remain together?
Yeah.
Like,
It's none of my
it's
business.
nothing for me to say. Just like with Garrett and Taylor. Like, that mama was clearly right. What I'm gonna say, other than calling the racism out, what I'm gonna say about it?
Yeah.
She's allowing it to happen. She saw it,
She's
right?
okay.
And he made some comments around, his preference for white women and blah 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 blah. Like, but if they're choosing to stay, you're choosing to stay. I'm just never going to be the person that's going to be on social media going crazy about other people's choices.
Yeah.
That's just never going to be me.
It's their choice is nothing. It's not like I would be mad. Like, say you the other person, and somebody left you for that. Like, you can be mad at that choice because like they didn't choose you, right? But this has nothing to do with us. Like,
the only time I'll be mad about something like this if it was my best friends, and that's because I'm empathizing and sympathizing on their behalf. But these strangers, I'm not going to put a lot of energy into that. Okay. It's like, all right, girl, just be careful. Because if everything that the other women who he had the babies with, let's just say, because there's a version of the truth in all of this, right?
Yeah.
So, just navigate that stuff well when y'all have children, figure out what that means. And, because the internet is forever. So as those babies grow up, they're going to see all this and stuff like that. And these are things y'all have to deal with if y'all are still together. So just if you're conscious of that and you understand that, then God bless you. But I will say I rooted for them in the beginning. I don't wish no ill on them. I just think that hopefully Tyler is continuing to be honest and is navigating those spaces in a very authentic way.
Yeah. All right.
Nick and Hannah.
First of all, I'm gonna say, listen. Oh, that Ozempic.
Brian, you don't know if it was Ozempic.
That Ozempic, brother.
You don't know if it was that. You don't know if it was the big O.
Ozempic or depression. I don't know what it was, but the girl was snatched.
She could have got a personal trainer and a good diet.
I think it was the big O. I ain't gonna hold you.
Okay. Whatever it was, she had a little glow up.
So I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna do superlatives, but if we had to give a villain, Hannah is it.
My villain is still Nick and Vanessa Lachey.
Oh,
they're just so bad. Like,
they're
every season, no one is going to be a bigger villain than Nick and Vanessa Lachey. Of just how they handle the things. But if we're talking about specific characters who are falling in love, then Hannah, yes.
Yeah, I don't use the B word, but she was
a lot to deal with.
A lot. That's a great way to say. She was a lot to deal with.
She was a lot to deal with. So, I'm gonna go from the reunion backwards a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
I think how they was trying to hold Nick accountable is, and I ain't gonna say interesting, it's fair, because there is something about a person who deals with a Hannah type and just lets that ride.
Yeah.
So one or two things are possible here. Either you have your own deep insecurities that you're allowing this to happen to you, or like Hannah said, you are deeply calculated. So you allowed this to happen so that you can come out on top.
Yeah.
One of those things have to be true, because there is no world that exists. Like Tim talked about Alex one moment when she called him out his name, but they were arguing with each other. And again, not dismissing how he felt, but Hannah berated this man the entire show. And there is no world that, y'all and people who listen, y'all know me. I'm not even on that super hyper masculine foolishness. There is no world that exists though, and not just from a relationship, that a person is going to talk to me in the way that Hannah talked to Nick, telling me that you can't get this. Didn't you? And we're not equal. Didn't you quit your job to be? Aren't you living off your 401k right now?
Listen,
if we do a big purchase, baby, you're broke.
Yeah.
I still have a job. And I get it. Somebody's living with their parents and stuff like that. But I think I've told people all the time, if I lived in Memphis and was single, I wouldn't be living with my parents at 35. But I probably would have lived with them up until I was like 26, 27. Yeah, just stacking money.
Yeah.
Because I also know Robin and JB. They weren't finna make me pay no rent for real. Yeah. Now, they would have asked me to contribute to the house. And by virtue of how they raised me, I would have contributed to the house. But I wouldn't have been paying no third of the mortgage. No. And I probably would have took over their utility bill. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Or took over the utility bill, like the cable and internet. Yeah. And because I got the streaming services, I would have had that. And all they really got to do is pay for, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I got my hookups with all the people. It would have been on all the TVs in their house. Yeah. And all they got to pay for is the mortgage because Memphis has a monopoly. So Memphis, like light, gas, and water is one big bill. So they would have literally been mortgage and their car insurance and their car note, which is their bills, right? I'm not gonna pay your car on your car insurance, but that don't impact me. But yeah, they would have had like their household bills have been mortgage and food. And because I like to cook and eat, I would have been buying food too. When I saw that the game was low, I would have bought, like, my parents raised me to be responsible. So my point is that I would have been contributing to the house, but also still not paying $2,000 in rent. You know, all this other thing. As a grown up, with the salary that I was making at 27, bro, I could have been really saving my money. By the time I moved out at 30, would have had a beautiful nest egg.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not shaming them for doing that. But Nick was also ready to make the move out. He had just been stacking his paper, I assume, anyway. Yeah. But she blamed him for that. She went for him for not knowing how to cook. Like, not just men, but there are people who can't cook at their big grown ages. And they eventually learn right when they get in a relationship or marriage, or they just want better for themselves in terms of how they prepare meals. But not knowing how to cook at your big grown age ain't really, especially, and not to stereotype or give excuses, but specifically men. There's a lot of men who don't cook.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
and then considering his upbringing, his mom clearly is a cook. She enjoys cooking.
And she was a more domestic woman. So he he wasn't raised to learn to cook. My mama didn't force me to cook. I had a natural inclination.
Yeah.
Like I used to eat so much that I was like, I don't want to be hungry. And then I fell in love with cooking.
Yeah.
Right. But some men, especially who have women who are very much more domestic and they kind of take on that more traditional role. A lot of young men don't. But you also have women who be like, hey, I ain't raising no trifling man. You need to at least know how to cook you some chicken, cook you some. Nick's mom didn't do that. And we can say whatever we want to say, but to me, that's not nothing to, but I don't know. She
consistently ridiculed him.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And I feel like a lot of it was insecurity. It was the fact of, I had to do things the hard way.
And you didn't.
So it was like almost on some jealousy type stuff. Like, well, I'm better than you because I picked myself up by my bootstrap. And it's like, well, I didn't have to. Like, I'm good, but I got money.
I can't be blamed for that. Like, I think acknowledging your privilege and being accountable to your privilege is one thing, but don't ever beat me over my head for my privilege. Like, in our friend group, I was the only person that grew up with his father in the house and around.
Yeah.
But I don't think that my life was necessarily better than yours because you did. And if you were to admit, well, I had this struggle because I didn't have a father, I'm not saying like, oh, well, you should know. Like, I'm never going to like, that's nothing for me to flex on. Like my dad, fish don't get cookies for swimming. My daddy ain't gonna get an ooey cookie for standing around and being a father. That's what he's supposed to do. The fact that he's a good father, right, and a good husband is something that I can really appreciate. But it's still a good father, still a good husband, and I really love my dad, and I show him that appreciation. But at a core level, I'm not giving that man no prize for just being there, because I know fathers who was also there, and were terrible fathers and husbands, right? So it is the extra layer. My point in all of this is that don't look down on me. It's like the episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when they was pledging and his only reason that he didn't like Carlton because he came from an affluent family. Yeah. But he did everything else. And it's like, you're not judging a brother by who he actually is. He doesn't control the fact that his parents were rich and they have a butler. You think like he had a say-so in whether or not his daddy hired a butler? Right. He had no choice in that, or where he lived, or how his parents ascended into success. They had no choice into that. Right. And it's the same thing with Nick. He didn't have a choice that his parents had a certain level of success. Probably told him, hey, son, save your money, like live in the basement. Because his basement was like a basement apartment. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like stay there, it's all yours. You got a separate interest, do your thing. Like, and the fact that you came from, let's just say rags to riches type story, like, cool. I love the fact that you know what I'm saying, that you leveled up. But sis, you're not finna make this a negative thing for me. And you're not finna, and then because she said, I've made you more than a man in the last few weeks, and you like,
wild, bro. Wild. And to even insinuate that he's not a man because he has a pampered life, like that is why. And to me, I think the thing is, I feel like there are couples who come from different backgrounds who can complement one another. Like, I feel like me and Lauren come from different backgrounds, so we complement each other in different ways, right? Because we come from different. I may come from more of a struggle, where she comes from more of a pampered life. So, we can show each other things and influence how things go and kind of come together and merge some things and make each other better. I
Yeah.
feel like that it was a missed opportunity because she was so bitter and so hurt and so angry. Granted, I feel like they revealed the fact that he had his motives for going on the show might have been, a little whack, and if we being honest, probably wasn't attracted to her because she's not an attractive woman. But like to that, I feel like she was she was, and then to even come on the show at the reunion and be like, yeah, I know I'm terrible. I'm working on myself, but I stand by everything I said. Girl, like
You can't those things. Now, two things can be true, but those two things are not two of them.
what?
Because now that it's been revealed that he probably was in it for the wrong things, and the only thing that I really give Nick flack for is lying when he got called out. If you thought that she wasn't the most attractive person when you met her, say the show is called Love is Blind because it's based on the looks. If you didn't think she was that attractive, bro, just say that. And be honest about it.
Yeah.
And but also be honest enough to say, you know what, she wasn't my type physically, or aesthetically. She made, because he claimed he didn't say it was 5 out of 10. Let's say that also was true, which it probably was. Then he said that. But my statement would have been, you know what, you're right. When I first met her, I don't know that I was the most attracted to her physically, but I fell in love with her so much in the pods that didn't matter as much, which proves this show. Love is really is blind.
Yeah.
Right. And then I would have ended by saying, and she's not ugly to me. She's just not what I typically would have went for. Yeah. Right. And that's your statement, and you're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But own that. But also, you also got to be calculated. You got to be sincere on these shows, but calculated too. Yeah. There's no way I'm going to, like, these dudes are my friends, but I'm telling my best friends, the ones who ain't on the show.
Yeah.
If I felt something like that, I'm not telling the dudes who on the show because they're going to tell their wives, or if you which they all did, and they all ratted you out.
Yep.
Right. So two things can be
recording that show.
But here's the other thing though, bro. Even with Nick being on it for the wrong reasons, being terrible for lying to that girl, and even dragging her through this process if he knew he wasn't always attracted, because there's a certain level where we got to hold him accountable to too. If you know you weren't attracted to her in a sense that you kind of knew this wasn't going to be a forever thing at some point, like you could have ended that as well. Like Nick could have definitely done that. Here's the gag though. Doesn't change how terrible of a person Hannah was. And that was my frustration with the reunion. Y'all kept trying to hold Nick accountable to this one thing about him not being attractive, and it doesn't change the fact, like, even if Nick got on there and said you was blah 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 blah, it never. And here's the thing that I want to know: when did you find out that he said that? Because if you found that out maybe a little bit later, explain the time from the moment you met him up until the moment you found that out that you were terrible to this man. Because that still needs to be explained. The why of that part. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, let's just say she found out right before they broke up, or even after the show ended. Then tell me why you were so terrible to him the entire time. Because she kept saying you made me insecure. But if you didn't know that about what he said, how was he making you insecure?
Right.
Because now if he said that from the beginning, you found it out from the jump, then part of my blame goes back to Hannah, because it's like, why would you stay in a space where you know this man is not attracted to you? If you call everything else out, call that out.
Yeah.
And even Marissa was like, I had your back on certain things, which means, which using my context clues, y'all didn't find out about the unattractive statement until a little bit later.
Yeah.
Which means that her behavior up until that moment was completely, because we didn't even find out he was quote unquote calculated until later, right? Yeah. Which means that all of her behavior was completely inexcusable. It wasn't it's never going to be excusable. No. But she had nothing to hang her hat on if she didn't find this stuff out till later. Hannah is a terrible person. She has proven that she's not working on herself. She's trying to play the victim when she's the villain, and she can't take it. She's one of them people who can say, she's one of the people who like to throw their rocks and hide their hand. So she can say all this harsh stuff, but when it come at her,
she can't take it.
She can't take it, and she want to run and cry white girl tears. Then she get women like Marissa who are also jaded and hurt because she kept trying to have her back. But then you kept throwing Ramses in the situation. Why is this man in it? If I was Ramses, I would have put a Nene. Now I get in.
How'd I get in this?
Because she kept calling that man out. Everybody lies. I married Ramses. It's like, what?
What?
Well, didn't we just talk about our issue and we dead at that? Like, we're done, sis. And here's the other thing, Brian. Y'all going through all this with Nick and Hannah, and they're not even together. Like they're not even together
at all.
Not dating, not nothing. And Hannah told me, well, people are DMing me saying like, so what?
Like we're not together no way.
So who cares?
Yeah, I think that the agenda for her was to come on the show and make him
and make him look bad and vindicate herself.
And the thing again, going back to your villains, they did not hold Hannah really accountable.
And they didn't navigate, and they didn't hold Hannah accountable, and they didn't pull certain things out of Nate either. Because I'd have been like, wait a minute, Nate. Everybody's saying you said it. All these people aren't lying on you, man.
Yeah.
If you didn't say that specifically, what did you say? Yeah. Like, that's a host.
Yeah.
That's a host.
Yeah.
Because they also got all the behind the scenes footage. They got the bloopers. They got there should be, because even on the Housewives, bro, they be showing stuff that we may not have saw. They be bringing up stuff we didn't even see. And they'll show clips of certain things that we never saw to bring context. Like, Nick and Vanessa are terrible. I know that they are executive producers, but Netflix, get them out of there.
But to that same point, that's why they're terrible as well. The behind the scene moment that Alex and Tim had, they should have showed that with the altercation. They should have because the producers about to come. All the stuff that you're talking about right now, all the stuff with the videos and stuff like that should have been there. So the reunion could have been much better by giving us there was no behind the scenes stuff that they showed us, did they?
No, they didn't show anything in the reunion. They spent too much time talking about AD and where she at and Marshall and this new baby and all this other kind of stuff. And this other woman who married a dude but even on Love is Blind. How that's the first Love is Blind baby and the man wasn't even on Love is Blind? Get away from me with this.
We don't care.
It was a waste of time. It was enough drama in that cast.
Yeah.
For 90 minutes to have not, you know what I'm saying, for you to utilize the 90 minutes better.
Yeah. We could have, it really could have been done right. And it could have been a two-parter by giving us some of the additional context with the videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, like the Housewives sometimes do 3 parts, and I feel like it'd be too long. But they could have done a 2-hour joint and just, you know what I'm saying, and gave us more. But as we wrap this up, like I'm gonna ask you the question: do you think Love is Blind?
To a certain degree, yes. I feel like it's Love being blind as far as like you can get past looks because they have your heart. I can see that. But because have you ever been attracted to somebody that wasn't attractive?
Yeah, but I never dated them.
I'm not saying I've dated them either, but I've met people before.
Their personalities have made them look better. Absolutely,
made them look better. Yeah. So I can see how the experiment of the initial being in the pod, falling in love with somebody based off the personality, but their aesthetics are a thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So when I say is blind to a certain degree, and then what happens once you see that picture, and then now the ugly personality traits come in. Then at that point, it's not blind anymore because now you can see them. You can see them for who they are, but also you can see them physically. So I would say Love is blind to a certain degree, but not totally. No. What about you?
I would agree. Love is blindish. Yeah. And I think you just explained it because, like you said, I have met some people who are not attractive, and as you got to know them, you don't even think about like when you first. Sometimes and we're human. We've all called somebody ugly before. Yeah. Right. I know we don't like to use that word. We try to be, very PC when we say stuff like that. But like we looked at them and said, "Oh my God!" Right? We've had that moment.
They are not cute.
But you meet certain people even in that initial response, and after you look at them, be like, you know what?
You're a dope girl.
I get it. Right? But you're right. I think for me though, 2 weeks is just not enough for that for me to have that. Like I said before, and I'm giving my answer away now. I ain't falling in love in 2 weeks. I might get in deep infatuation, and depending on how I want to play the show, like don't call me Nick. I don't care. Depending on how I want to play the show, it's one or two things will happen for me. I'm gonna be gone with the couples that don't make it, or I'm gonna propose, hoping I can make it through the experiment. But then if you come out there and you're somebody I'm not physically, let me just say it this way: I'm not gonna call because I don't think anybody on the show was just flat out ugly. Yeah. But let me use Hannah for this reason. And let's just say she wasn't mean. Hannah was not my type physically, or what I'm attracted to normally, and she's a white woman. Yeah. So when she came out as a white woman, that's the first hurdle I got to get over. And I'm just gonna be honest.
No, that's true because I'm like, you got to think about all the things. And I don't think there's anything wrong with interracial relationships. I'm not going to sit here and say I would never date
a white woman ever, right? I don't have the experience,
Mm-hmm.
but it would have to be a deep. It ain't gonna be no 2 week situation. This would have to be me and this young woman dating for years and knowing each other and being ready for the different things that come with being interracial relationships and all those kind of things. I am very, very in tune with my blackness and stuff like that, and I'm not in a mode where I want to teach a lot of cultural things. Like, that's just me personally. But I don't think there's anything wrong with interracial relationships at all. Like, I could see myself being in one, but it would have to be the right person, right circumstances, right, all this different kind of stuff. I didn't meet no white woman. I love the black woman that I got, and I'm good with what I got, right? However, after 2 weeks though, and a white woman came out of that door, that's the first hurdle. I'm be like, okay, all right, Josh, you felt love. We're doing this experiment. Love is blind. And then after that, the next thing would be like, now that I've gotten over like the fact that she's white or have accepted that, what does she look like? Mm-hmm. And even if she was a black woman, Asian woman, Latin woman, if she's not physically attractive, and this has nothing to do with weight or anything like that, because I don't discriminate. Alex wasn't what we would consider traditionally or socially accepted as slim, but Alex was a beautiful girl, right? So again, it ain't the weight. It's literally the face, right? And if that's just not there, it's gonna be hard for me to get over that unless I am like deeply connected. And I just don't know that 2 weeks in the pods is enough for me to get to that conclusion personally. And if I decided to work through it, we would need to be compatible in almost every other way. I'm not looking for you to be perfect, but we would need to have similar senses of humor. We would need to be church babies. We would need to have similar thoughts and patterns around how we look at politics and like so many things would have to, align for us or complement each other. Let me use that word too. I'm not saying we need to be the same. We can be different, but there would need to be some complementary traits and attributes about each other that brings us in. If those things aren't super strong, I can't get over the physical. So love is blind dish. But in all the moments that you had described, you met somebody who you wasn't attracted to over the course of time, that wasn't a 2 week period.
Oh no, not at all.
Right? Like that was over really getting to know that person. And again, if we were friends, it didn't change the fact that I was your friend. I was just completely disinterested in being anything more than your friend because I wasn't attracted to you. And that's okay. Somebody thinks I'm ugly. And that's okay. I could walk out that party, you'd be like, wait a minute, I don't like that dude. Right? And that's okay. I know that I'm not attracted to everybody, but we have to be honest enough to say that looks do matter, because when you're out in the real world, why do you approach a person when you don't know them? It's because you see something that you like. You don't fall in love with their personality first. You don't know their personality first.
There's an attraction.
You think that they cute. When I first saw my wife at that choir rehearsal, I was like, dang, who is that? I ain't know nothing about her. And when I looked her up, you know what I'm saying? I saw she had a little boyfriend or whatever at the beginning. But it was her attractiveness that made me want to pursue her. It wasn't the fact that she was a good woman. I didn't know she was a good woman. One of the girlfriends I had when I was in college, one of the other long-term relationships, I would track her. I found out eventually she was bad stuff crazy. Right? So the fact that I was attracted, the fact that I was attracted to her meant nothing after a while because we were not compatible. All different kinds of things, right? So Love is Blindish. I think this season was one of the, I ain't gonna say worst ones, but it wasn't the better ones. No. I think there was some interesting storylines and things here. In terms of like Nick and Vanessa, I think they need to be replaced. I heard there's a new season coming in February, so I'm interested to see what they do there. Any closing thoughts, Bryan, before we wrap up? Any improvements? Anything you wanna say?
I think we kind of said the improvements, new hosts. I think better background checks on the contestants, right? To see if they are motives and skeletons. Even though the skeletons kind of give it extra like flavor. That's pretty much it. Like, shout out to the people that made it. Shout out to those that didn't. For my nigga Gucci or whatever.
Shout out my nigga Gucci. Eminem made the list, but Gucci made the list. All right. Well, with that being said, except there's been a bonus episode of the Jigsaw podcast.
You're welcome.
We gave y'all 2 in a day. A day. You know how much work this is?
Listen.
How much work this is? Anyway, love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Bryan, tell them what they can do before we get up out of here.
Continue to support, subscribe, like all the things. We're on every podcast platform. If you have any questions, ask the jig. askthejigsaw@gmail.com. Follow Josh. I'm Josh Rogers. Me,
Yep.
I'm Bryan Hare.
Yep.
The Jigsaw Podcast. We wanted you to interact with this. If you agree with our thoughts, have disagreements
Tell
with our
us what
thoughts,
you think.
tell us what you think, who you loved, who you didn't love. Shout out to Chris, who does a great job behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Engage. And we love everything. We'll be great without you, but we're better with you. So continue to support in all the ways. And before we head out, Josh, let the people know what they need to do.
Whew, just so we caught up with your work on done. Because listen, y'all can fall in love and be blind.
Listen.
And it will take over your mind. All right. See y'all next week.
Peace.